Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Privacy Sphere. Today I have some really special guests for you. Siniliwa promise ndawaletea watu, heavy hitters. I am joined by the chairperson and the secretary of the Data Privacy and Governance Society of Kenya. Remember when we were talking about the importance of having a community? So this is my community. On my immediate left, I have Dr. Mugambi Laibuta, who is a Kenya legal scholar and practitioner and the chairperson of the Data Privacy and Governance Society of Kenya, which is a professional body at the forefront of advancing data protection, privacy, and responsible data governance in Kenya. He lectures at the Kenya School of Law, and through the DPGSK, he works closely with the regulator, ule mwenye tulita ODPC, and other people in the industry to translate the Data Protection Act into a practical, rights-respecting system that shapes public disclosure on privacy, digital rights, and emerging technologies such as AI, and other rapidly evolving digital economies. Welcome very much.
Thank you.
Laibuta.
Pleasure to be here.
On the extreme left, we have the secretary, Grace Mutung'u, who is a Kenyan legal researcher specializing in digital rights and information and communication technology policy in Africa. She has an extensive experience analyzing the intersection of technology, law, and human rights, with a focus on issues like data protection, artificial intelligence, and digital identification. Grace is an ardent theater fan and often draws parallels between digital development and African literature, with a background in cultural activism. She is currently serving as the secretary of the Data Privacy and Governance Society of Kenya. Karibu sana, Grace.
Woo, thank you.
Hey, hizo introductions. Mnasikia vile ni mzito, yeah? So both of you have such impressive backgrounds from different angles. So let me start very simply. How does someone end up here in data protection? Maybe I can start with Dr. Laibuta.
By accident. So let's say around 13 years ago, 2013, 2014, I think is when we started discussing a lot of digital rights in Kenya. Because at that point, blogging, people use of social media, especially for commenting on public issues, started gaining traction. And then, of course, the government started arresting people for what they were saying on social media. You know, before people used to get arrested because of what they are saying, let's say on TV, in a rally. But now the government started catching feelings for what people are saying on social media. And it is then that people, because also the community online was quite a small community. So sort of people got to know each other, or got to know of each other. So when one of us will get arrested, we will rally ourselves and go and see what the issue. So then there was a lot of discussion about digital rights. So we started training. So I got into the system with Bloggers Association of Kenya that was now helping bloggers or social media users to get to know about what are their rights within these platforms. And then, of course, one of the rights that we will train people or talk about was the right to privacy. So we'll talk about like intellectual property rights, defamation, access to information online, the rights of an arrested person, then there's the right to privacy. So then, fast forward, when the GDPR was being discussed, that time the GDPR was a draft. So it becomes a big issue. So I was wondering, why are people making it a big issue? So that's how I got interested in this data protection. But I was working a lot within digital rights. And they say the rest is history. So once the GDPR was passed, I think that time we used to say we are GDPR experts. So you'll find people training because people wanted to know. In Kenya, you'll find there are a lot of sectors that wanted to know what is this GDPR. And that's how simply I got into the data protection privacy space.
Well, I can call that a lucky accident.
Yeah.
So, Grace, listening to that, your journey is quite different, but also rooted in the same digital rights, digital governance. So what pulled you into data protection in this space?
Okay. So because I don't want to sound as if I come from back in the day or as if I'm very old, maybe I'll just talk about the part where I was doing political work and interacting a lot with political actors like political parties. And for example, during the constitutional making journey, you could see that the civil society actors were very keen on adding informational privacy to the Katiba and then access to information. And then fast forward later on, you're seeing political actors are really into collecting lists and lists of people. You know, when there was that requirement under Political Parties Act that to have a political party, you had to have members from diverse regions. You know how people did that? Is that you'd go collect even lists from people who had attended seminars, collect lists from M-Pesa people, because those lists have people's ID numbers, and then you use that to check that box off that I got people from different political parties. And the more Kenya kept digitalizing, the more you could see how people who are versed in like issues to do with databases could relate databases. In fact, like I think the 2013 election, this was so clear because political actors were actually going to the IEBC database and getting parts of that database and then using like the database of voters of the area they were, they wanted to, they were interested in, then sending them very personalized messages. Yeah, that, as a voter, you get that message that makes you feel as if the politician knows you personally, loves you, and you feel like the only thing you can do in return is just to vote for them. Yeah, so now, after that, I felt it was really important to relate that with the right to privacy, which was already there in the Constitution. And I joined other groups, including groups that Daktari has spoken about, like BAKE. There's also another group called KICTANET, Kenya ICT Action Network, that were just agitating to make sure that we get a Data Protection Act, which would be similar or which would give us, protection the same way. In Europe, they were also looking at the digital economy and seeing how do you protect people from invasive data practices.
Where every time we have discussions, I realize there's something I didn't know. Yeah, very interesting. Okay.
We should hang out more.
Yeah, we need to. So both of you came into data protection from very different parts. So I wonder, how did those parts end up meeting at DPGSK? Or what was happening in Kenya at the time that made you feel that this society was necessary? Maybe I'll start with you, Dr. Laibuta.
Okay, let's start. So, before the act, when the act was a bill, I think some of us would meet like in Parliament when we're doing public participation. And then, of course, that time, as I said, the online community was actually small. So you will know who is within this space. You know people in digital rights, you know people in talking about cybersecurity issues, you know people are talking about the Data Protection Act, because the community was quite small. So then when the act was passed, so you'll meet these people, or we'll meet like in these public forums. Then when the act was passed, and then the data commissioner was appointed, people started getting jobs or opportunities as data protection officers. So then we said, okay, everybody is doing their thing separately. So we said, so it actually started as a WhatsApp group. A WhatsApp group to say, what are the challenges that you are facing? How do you interpret this provision of the Data Protection Act? If you are being interviewed for a data protection officer position, what do you need to do? Of course, we were guessing. we were guessing. But I think that community was actually a small, I think we started like around 20 people within a WhatsApp group. Then when the data commissioner was appointed, like this small group will also be invited for public forums by the data commissioner. So at some point we said, then this WhatsApp group, we should formalize, because we had no formal way to interact with the data commissioner. Or we thought that the best way is to formalize this WhatsApp group of ours. So then that's where the proposal came in to establish a registered community. So we thought, what is the best way to go about it? Then that's why, so someone proposed, let's do it as a professional society registered under the Societies Act. And this was many months after. It was towards the end of, I think it was, because the WhatsApp group, I think, started around early 2022, then formalizing the conversation, we said, I think it was around October 2022 that we're like, okay, now we need to start setting up the structures. So like getting a list of members, people who in the WhatsApp group agreed, let's start with the list of members. Then secondly, we had interim officials. And the interesting, we didn't know each other. We knew a lot of people we had never heard of some of these people. We had never interacted. But see, like Bomu, for example, I knew her because we're in the digital rights space. But other people, it was people who are interested in data protection. So we had a list. So we said the list of the WhatsApp group is the list of members. Then we also established interim officials. And then with the interim officials, we started doing the documentations to file with the Registrar of Societies, so our constitution, our bylaws. But that was the simplest, it was the simple way within which the society started.
Okay. Maybe now to Bomu, what was your experience coming into
The society?
Yeah.
So because I come from civil society and, digital rights perspective, for us, we had really agitated for a Data Protection Act, and we were so happy when the act finally was enacted. But we have also been in the journey. We agitated for other acts like the Access to Information Act. And what we had learned is that getting the act enacted is not the end. Like you really have to monitor, push for implementation of some of the things. Like it's never enough. That's never the end. Like once an act is enacted, now you start like a whole new journey of monitoring and making sure that it's implemented in the right way. Yeah, because in Kenya we have that problem where you have good laws, but they just sit on the shelves. Yeah. So for a lot of civil society folks and also folks in academia, there was that interest to, like we felt so much ownership of this act that we just wanted it to be implemented properly. And we thought if there are professionals coming together, we definitely want to be with them because this kind of work for monitoring implementation, it happens better when it's a collective. It's very, very hard to do it as one organization or as one group. There's always strength in numbers. So that's how or why we were so happy to hear that there's an initiative and we ran in and give a lot of energy. Yes.
Yeah. That's so true, by the way, because even now looking at how this society operates, it's the people and the efforts and moving together, and actually that sense of ownership is very true. Okay. So to you now, Dr. Laibuta, to someone who doesn't even know what the Data Privacy and Governance Society of Kenya is, what would you say? What is it really? What is its mandate? Kazi ya hii society ni nini?
So it's a professional society. Actually, we are registered under the Societies Act. So it's a formal institution that has a legal personality. And when we were starting, one of the questions is that who do we involve in this society? So there were different points of views. But for us who were in that WhatsApp group, we said, because we had people who worked, as Bomoa said, we had people in academia, we had civil society actors, we had lawyers, we had techies, we had young professionals, we had people who've just heard about data protection when the act was passed. So what we decided is that within our statutes and our membership, we'll include anybody and everybody who is interested in data protection. Because for us, we were looking at it is that this will be a big pie and opportunity for many of us. So we need to ensure that we bake a bigger pie that can be eaten by many people. So in our membership, we have people from civil society, we have people from public sector, we have people from private sector, we have techies, we have lawyers, we have marketers, we have young professionals, and we also have university students. because one of the questions was that should you be a working professional to be part of the society? And we had university students who had interest, and we said, no, we can't exclude them. Let them be part of us. And it's because of that reason we have the Data Privacy and Governance Students Association of the University of Nairobi. And currently we are in talks with 5 universities to establish a similar chapter like the one of the University of Nairobi. So when you look at our membership, we have professors of ICT, we have professors of law, and we have first-year students who are members. So that is the spectrum. And why did we do this? It's because we believe that there's need for inclusivity, and being a new space, we will need ideas. We'll need to understand what is data protection in public sector, what is data protection from a lawyer's perspective, from a civil society perspective, because I think as a professional body, that's how we grow together. Because you see, it's not like lawyers where there's the Law Society of Kenya Act or the Advocates Act, which is very clear of what a lawyer is. So this one is quite open. So that's how we started, and that's the philosophy that we've carried ourselves. That we find, for example, the committee of the DPGSK has representation from all these groups that I'm talking about.
That's actually amazing, because everyone wants to feel like they're welcome somewhere, especially if you're not really a professional. So yeah, that's really good. Over to you, Grace. What does this mandate really mean into the real work? What does DPGSK do on a day-to-day to achieve all of these great things that it's doing?
So I'd say DPGSK work has 2 main branches. We have work that involves the professionals themselves and their welfare. So, sometimes people need things like certificates just to show that they are members, and maybe they're applying for a job and so on and so forth. Sometimes people also just need some education and training. For example, when something new comes up, like now we have this e-Teams directive on how we should, do expenses for taxation. It has, aspects of personal data, and people just need to understand so that they can be able to help themselves or their organizations wherever they work. So we have that kind of things to do with the members themselves, helping the members, educating the members sharing experiences and learning from each other. That is one part, which is very internal work. Then we have some external facing work, because within our membership, like Daktari has said, we have students who are doing interesting research projects, we have professors, we have techies, and some of the technology that is being built to help in data protection is really interesting. And you find that even people who are either lawyers or HR or compliance officers, it helps for you to understand the tech. What does the technology do? Yeah, when you have, biometric technology at your workplace, what does it actually do? How does it identify people? What kind of data does it use? It really, really helps. So, because we also concerned with public interest, we have some kind of work where we normally open up that kind of education and training and talk to the public. We also contribute to public policies and laws. So, and I'm telling you, in the data governance space, it's a lot. Like, you never stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like last year, the finance bill had a lot of data protection aspects in it.
Yeah.
And then when we thought we were breathing, they said, now Kenya is coming up with a data governance policy. So we were there trying to understand it. At the same time, even outside Kenya, there's a lot that's happening, like at the African Union, and it will affect us. There's so many policies coming out. So we have some work where, as professionals, we come together, we think through these policies and the drafts and what they're saying, and then we contribute by giving our input. And then we also go to courts, because we have a good number of lawyers and also other experts. So we go to court because the lawyers can represent us, and they go a lot of times we go in as either interested parties or experts just to explain to the courts what are the facts about some of these things that are being proposed by government, and then they're being litigated in court. And it's so nice, what Daktari was talking about, that our society has, it's a melting pot. We have all different types of professionals. Right. It's so nice because even when we go to court, it's not just about lawyers.
Yeah.
It's also about expertise from other professionals, then trying to use that to enrich what comes out of the court process.
That's amazing. And you guys have had, I didn't lie, it's not just lawyers in this space. Najua tuko na kierere, but the society accommodates everyone. Yeah, so over to you now, Dr. Laibuta. We have the Act. It gives us the ODPC. So how does DPGSK sit in this ecosystem? What is its role alongside the regulator,
So one thing I have to appreciate is that when the data commissioner, Commissioner Kasait, was appointed in 2020, that she was very welcoming to stakeholders because she felt that this was the best way. She has the commission has an open door policy for all stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, being a formally registered society, we approached the data commissioner and we created a working relationship with the office. Mm-hmm. And the office over the years has actually, so we've interacted in various ways. One, Bomo has already mentioned it, giving input, for example, to guidance notes that the data commissioner has issued. Mm-hmm. We also gave, the first thing we started actually with the 3 regulations. We give our input. Then when guidance notes have come, we've also given our input. The data commissioner has also been gracious enough to undertake what we call mentorship programs for us. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes we need, as a society, we need to hear the regulator's view on compliance matters. Mm-hmm. So we've had sessions where representatives of the commission have come and given us what we call mentorship sessions. Mm-hmm. We've even had a town hall with the data commissioner where people, quite a session where people are actually bombarding the data commissioner with questions, with comments, and they took time to respond to our queries. So that's our interaction. Then also, of course, with the Ministry of Information and the Digital Economy, we are also one of the stakeholders within the digital economy space. Like Bomo said, there's current discussion on the National Data Governance Policy. We are part of that. When there were conversations about the artificial intelligence strategy, we were also part of that conversation. And we will also soon, I think by the time this podcast is out, we'll have another session in the Commission on Administrative of Justice on the interface between access to information and data protection. But also to add, in this space, we also have, as I've talked about mentorship, the society has what we call a mentorship program where you have seasoned professionals mentoring younger professionals in the space. And this has really helped because there's no monopoly of knowledge. So sharing this knowledge that we have has something that is very critical. And also with the ODPC that I didn't mention, this year we're having the second ODPC determinations analysis report, which usually helps in looking at the determinations within a calendar year and analyzing them. What have been the fines? What are the sectors involved? What are the issues? So that's also another way that we contribute to knowledge. Something else that as a society we've had 3 surveys of the professionals just to understand what is the demographic of the professionals. So of course, a majority are lawyers. As you said, lawyers have kierere. So 60% of our membership are lawyers. But also, as I said, we have techies, and also 50% are people who are 30 years and below, which means that our membership is quite, the demographic is quite young. But we do that survey to understand also how much are people being paid, what are the challenges that they face, because it's from these surveys that we do, and you can get it on our website, datagovernance.ke.africa. It was that we actually made a proposal to the data commissioner for a guidance note for data protection officers. So as a society, we sat down and we said, what are the challenges? And the Act, actually, the Data Protection Act, provides that ODPC can provide guidance notes on DPOs. So we did a draft guidance note, and we hope that by the end of 2026, that guidance note will be adopted as one of the official guidance notes from the Office of the Data Protection Commission.
I really like that last point because, we are suffering. But that is actually very refreshing to know that someone is looking out for people practicing in this new space. I hope you guys are picking up all these gems that are being dropped here because you're rushing to apply to join that society, all those opportunities. But a lot of people think that data protection is just about compliance. And that's not the case, as we are seeing. It affects ordinary Kenyans every day. So now over to you, Bomu. How do these digital ID systems that we are seeing coming up, fintech, and all of these changes in the online service space, how do they, affect data protection? How is it a social issue and not just a legal one?
Simply because you stop being, it's like this data or digital economy is not so much concerned about you as a person, but the data. So like, in fintech, for you to get a loan, it's never so much about you, Shanice, how are you? Are you a morally upright person? No, it's about what does the data say? Where do you go? Like if you look at your location data, where do you normally go after work? How much do you spend? Do you go to the local? How much do you spend in a day? That is the kind of profile that will help them to decide whether to give you a loan, how much interest to charge, and so on and so forth. Same with digital ID. For you to get a service, a digital ID related service, let me not make it so abstract. For you to be served on eCitizen, it's not so much about you, Shanice, or you, Daktari. It's more about, is there a digitized version of your data? So, and we had a case where people just got IDs, people who for many, many decades did not have IDs. So they got IDs, like they were holding the plastic card. But then they could not be served on eCitizen. Why? Because eCitizen did not know them. So this systems is about, the social aspect is always about, it's like you have to be machine readable.
Oh, yeah.
We want, for you to be served, for you to be profiled, it's the machine readable version of you. So it's not so much about you and your nice eyes with the nice makeup. No, it's about the part of your eyes that can be read by the machine, the iris that, identifies you specifically as a person. So it comes, that kind of, the way we are shifting in society comes with so many issues because there are people whose data is not being read. There are people whose data has not been populated in those databases. Sometimes the systems fail. Like if eCitizen fails or like if M-Pesa fails, even if you had put money in your M-Pesa, if the system is down, you can't pay. So you look like you're a person who doesn't want to pay for whatever. Imagine if like you're at a petrol station and you had fueled your nduthi, but M-Pesa is not working. It looks like you're like a person who doesn't want to pay. Well, in actual fact, it is the system that has failed. So it comes with so many social issues that form part of the discussions that we normally have when we come together at DPGSK.
Wow, that is so interesting. So I can get denial of service if I'm not present online. Sijulikani kama Mkenya. Huku tena maisha yangu inakuwa ngumu because when systems fail, my life stops there.
Yes, you can be existing as a human. You remember those 6 things that living things do in biology? You're expiring, inspiring. Yes, you can be doing all those things, but if the system does not have you in machine readable data, it's like you don't exist. It's like, we don't know you. So these are the issues that are now coming up.
So now, since we've already established I have to have an online presence. I have to be online somehow. Dr. Laibuta, when they have all of this data, of course, it's the government. You can't tell them, oh, usifanye hivi, fanye hivi. But what happens when they misuse all of this information about me? Where do I go? What do I do? As in?
So it depends on the context. So I think one of the things that you realize, and that's why like our membership is quite broad, data governance or data protection is also contextual. How you think about data protection, for example, in the health sector might not be the same, like, for example, in the education sector, because different sectors have different laws that govern how data is handled. For example, if you talk about the Kenya Revenue Authority, there's a Tax Procedures Act, there's an Income Tax Act that has very clear guidelines on how data within that space is to be handled. And that's what I said is that's why for us as a society, we have these different conversations with people from public sector, private sector, to understand that within their context, what is different. Because you'll find that even in public sector, people in the agricultural sector and people, for example, within the finance sector, within government, how they handle data, they have different laws. For example, we find in the agriculture, there are statutes that deal with the data within agriculture. If you're talking about in the finance or let's say the tax, you have the tax, as I say, the Tax Procedures Act, the Income Tax Act, and the likes. So there are ways that you can sort out your data protection questions within the context. For example, if it's KRA, you can go to KRA and you make a complaint within the Tax Procedures Act or the Income Tax Act, for example. If you have a complaint generally against by a private sector, for example, you go to the data office of the data commissioner and make a complaint. If you have an issue with your ID, you go to the registration of persons. First, you go to the registration of persons and say, hey, by the way, I got a new ID, but it has my name is not well captured. It is not well captured. Or if you get a passport and perhaps it said you're female instead of male, you go back. The issue, your data question will be to the Department of Immigration. So people have to think about it contextually. But overall, when you look at the Data Protection Act, there's the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner that is mandated under the Act to deal with data subject rights. So data subject rights, for example, if you've not been provided access to your data, if you want correction of your data, deletion of your data, or somebody has misused your data, for example, if you're getting unsolicited texts from maybe a banking, a digital banking app or a supermarket or a club, you can go to the data commissioner. So, and it's because of the multifaceted nature of data protection. Like for us as a society, we're also having collaborations with other sectors. For example, we have a collaboration with the Kenya Association of Travel Agents, for example, to help them understand or map out what are the data protection needs within that sector. Secondly, also, we have collaboration with CPIT at Strathmore University to have a platform where academics can interrogate these data protection issues within a conference setting and come up with academic writing on it. We have a lot of interaction with Amnesty International Kenya that supports some of our work, especially within the civil society space. So to understand within the civil society space, what are the questions, what are the issues relating to data protection? In essence, as you see, there are a lot of there are a lot of spaces, there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of actors within this space. But what is good is that the society provides an opportunity or a platform for all these interest groups, for all these sectors to come together and discuss and understand what exactly needs to be done.
Okay. I like that segue into how we are supporting professionals and building the field, essentially. So let me become a little bit selfish and ask you, Bomo, what does the society offer for people who are now working in these sectors that deal with personal data? Kama mtu anafanya kazi in banking, in the education sector, in the health sector, what do they get to benefit from the society as a professional, as an individual?
Hey, a lot.
Tell us. Give us the tea.
First of all, because this is such a new and ever-evolving space, it is so good to be with other professionals and have a space where you can raise issues as they emerge. So you'll find that sometimes somebody wants to file something or to apply for something and they're not so sure. this is a space where you can ask people, how did you do it, or how are people doing it? If you want, to apply for something, how are people doing it nowadays? Is a space you can do that. Then, like I said before, we do a lot of learning. Was it last year? In one of the quarters last year, we had one of our members come to speak to us about privacy engineering. Oh. So it's some sort of software engineering, but now it's for privacy.
Okay.
So imagine for you to know, sometimes as an end user, you get a pop-up telling you, do you want to accept cookies or not?
Yeah.
So there's somebody behind who wrote the code and designed it like that, so that before you enter, you say how you want your experience to be on that website.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's really interesting, especially for non-techies and even for techies. I think privacy engineering is such a niche area. You don't have many privacy engineers. Kama mtu anasoma huko software engineering, please know that you can
come we tell you something.
You can venture into that area. And then last year we also spoke a lot about artificial intelligence, which is such a big word. But when you unpack it, you come to learn what does it actually mean. The stuff to do with tokens and how they're interpreted in all these models that we're using, like ChatGPT. Those are such. So for our professionals, we do a lot of professional development. So we do. We have a space for you to learn, to develop yourself professionally. We also do, as Dr. said, mentorship for young professionals. And young here does not necessarily have to do with age. It just means you're entering into the space. You can be hooked up with somebody who's been in the space for longer. And they help you to figure out how you want to venture into this career. We also have a good relationship with regulators. By the way, not just in Kenya, but hata huko majuu. So it's it makes it gives a lot of, I think that's a good value for our members, because some of our members work in organizations that have cross-national, especially in the finance sector. Finance sector is heavily regulated, whichever country you are in. So it helps when you also have inroads to other regulators. And then let me also add that we also have good relationships with other professional bodies, including professional bodies that accredit professionals, like the International Association of Privacy Professionals, other professional bodies in Africa. And so that always helps if our members want to get certification or if our members want to move to another country. Because this is 2026. Wow. We know that it's very possible for you to move your career from here, maybe to Ghana or Nigeria, or let me stop mentioning so that people don't say I didn't mention their country. Okay, South Africa or any other part of Africa or Europe or wherever. So, those are some of, just some, I've not mentioned all, but some of the benefits that our members get.
To add, maybe I can add, like for example, we have had interactions and online sessions with the Tanzanian Privacy Professionals Association. With the Nigerian Association of Privacy Lawyers of Nigeria. We've had conversation with Rwanda that is also establishing a society similar to ours, and Uganda. So as you see, there's a lot of value added to members. And if you're a paid up member, for example, you get a membership certificate, and members have used this membership certificate to get work opportunities. Further is that, like I said, we have survey reports. People have used that survey reports to negotiate their salaries. To say,
that is actually very true.
Yeah, to say this is the market rate.
This is the market rate. You cannot pay me. So you cannot pay me less than this. For our lawyers, for our litigating lawyers, we've had what we call litigation surgery. So we take through our litigating advocates about what does it mean to litigate on data governance matters. So for them to understand and to have an appreciation what this is all about. So in essence, there's a lot of value being within a community of people within the sector that you are. And you get to understand other people within different spaces, whether it's public, private, etc. You get to understand how is it to regulate, to comply in Tanzania? How is it to comply in Nigeria?
Okay. That's amazing. Maybe as we wind up, I can ask, if I want to be a member of this society, how do I join? How do I reach out? How do I make contact and become one of those benefiting?
So I think maybe you'll put, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll put
Yeah.
that
Cornelia
there.
anasema, look at what is passing under your screen.
Yeah.
And so you can go to www.dataprivacyke.africa. There's a tab on membership where you can fill out a form. For professional members, it's 4,000 shillings, Kenya shillings a year. For student members, is 2,000 shillings a year.
Okay, that's amazing. That comes with a certificate.
Yes, if you're a paid up member every year, so the certificate is annual.
Okay.
So the year that you're paid up, it's just like the way, for example, lawyers or doctors have annual licenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for making the time and joining the Privacy Sphere. We have had a really nice chat. Guys, mumesikia hizo gems zinakuwa dropped hapo. So you know what to do. Finya your button. Like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one.